Hey everybody. So today's lesson is the first and foremost thing that we do before we can play our violin, and that is to tune it. So I get a lot of questions from parents and students about how to do this at home. I will admit it does seem complicated at first, but once you get the hang of it, I promise you it's not too difficult. So first I'd like to explain a little bit about the mechanics of what we're actually doing here. The violin has 4 strings, G, D, A, and E, from lowest to highest. And the strings are connected in 2 places. The first thing is down here, they're connected to what's called fine tuners. And up here at the top, each string is woven into one of these tuning pegs, and most brands will actually go ahead and color code those for you. So, you won't have to use these to tune unless your violin is really out of tune. I've gone ahead and actually put my violin relatively out of tune just so I could demonstrate for you how to get it in tune. So I use an app on my iPhone, let's see if you can see that, called Tuner Lite. There it is. And it tells you the name of the string that you're playing and whether it's too high or too low or right in the middle. So I'm not sure how well that you can see that, but there we go. So there are a lot of different free apps for iPhone or any smartphone. Just search in your application program tuning app free, and probably anything you find should work. Another option if you don't have access to a device like that would be to get something like this, which is just a handheld version of the same thing. Basically, it has a microphone and it's hearing the note that you're playing and telling you whether it's too high, too low, or right in the middle. So, like I said, here's the names of the strings from lowest to highest. So let's start with the G string, the one that sounds the lowest. So I'll go ahead and play it, and let me see if I can hold this up where you can see it. That should be pretty good. Okay. So it's a G, which means we're on the right track. It's close to the note that it needs to be. But the bar is showing up too far to the left. Just think left equals low. It's too low. So then what you need to do is twist your fine tuner to the right. I think righty-tighty. So that's clockwise. So you do a couple twists to the right. And you can watch your tuner as you go. Now it looks like I've gone just a touch too high. See how it was a little to the right? So I'm going to go back to the left and try it again. Good. Okay. Next is D. Now that one's too high, so I have to go lefty-loosey, counterclockwise a couple of times. Start off with just a small amount of twisting the fine tuner, because a little bit goes a long way. So you want to just trial and error until it gets right in the middle there. A. A little too low, so righty-tighty, 1 or 2 twists. A little bit. Okay, and E. A little too low. Alright, and I've got it. Okay, so that's a little bit about how to use your tuning app and your fine tuners. Now, What happens, and this happens a lot, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate. What happens if you get your violin out and you try it and it's not showing up G, D, A, or E or anything close? It's showing up all different notes. I'm going to go ahead and take and just detune all of my strings to demonstrate what you would do in that case. So by detune, I mean loosening them. So that means I need to twist the tuning pegs, toward me to make them looser. So, see, now that sounds really loose. And kids hand me their violins all the time and they're like, it's all out. And I'm sure that's happening for you right now too. So let me get them way out. Okay, now it's way out of tune. So I don't often recommend people doing this at home, but since you're at home without a teacher, I think that it's best just to go for it. All I would say is just go slow when you're tightening from here, because these are the tuning pegs and these are the fine tuners. Think about fine. It means just a little bit. These only tighten and loosen the string a little bit at a time, which is basically what we're doing when we're tuning, right? To tighten the string makes it sound higher to our ears. That's why we call it high strung, like somebody that's really wiry and like, ah! So now these are not G, D, A, and E anymore, but they need to get back there. So this is showing up on my fine tuner as a B. So if you're totally lost, just think about the alphabet. So in music, we start at A and we end at G. So from B, we need to go up to C to D to E to F to G. So I've tuned it down actually quite a bit. So then what you do is you twist the tuning peg away from you. Watch your tuner until it gets close. Now if you're finding that when you twist your tuning peg, it just slips back out again, what you need to do is push it gently toward the middle, and that'll help it stick. So what's supposed to be my D is now showing up as it says a B again. So I need to go up a couple notes back to a D. So I'll use the tuning pegs to get it close, and then I'll have to go through again with the bow. And what often happens is that when you get one string close, the others will slip out because you're putting more tension on the instrument as a whole. So just go slow and be patient. So that was an F sharp. It needs to go up to a G, then an A, because this is supposed to be my A string. And now let me demonstrate this, because this is something else that you might run into. It's showing up as an A, and then it's got that little symbol next to it that looks like a little tiny letter B. That means flat. Flat in music means it's too low. So it's in the right vicinity because it's an A, but it's an A flat. It's a half step lower than it needs to be. So I can use my tuning peg, get it close. So that's an E flat. I need to go up another half step to an E. If I go a little too far, I can tune it back down with my fine tuner. And then I'm going to want to go back through again with my bow and just fix it. So it's helpful to use the bow when you're playing for a tuner because it's picking up the pitch with a microphone. So a long sustained note is better than just like a quick pluck. One thing that you can do that I like to do in class is have your kid play the note like this, and then you can stand next to them and twist the tuner either clockwise to make it tighter, counterclockwise to make it looser, Just remember, tighter is higher, looser is lower, so that they can practice bowing at the same time. Alright, and now we're all in tune. I hope this helped. Please feel free to get in touch with me if you have any more questions.